Welcome to the XR Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Diana Olenik, and on this show, we dive into the cutting-edge worlds of XR, Web3, and artificial intelligence with the brightest minds in the industry, bringing you exclusive insights and game-changing conversations that will revolutionize your understanding of the future. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're speaking with Nicolai Klemke, who has been an eSports commentator in his teens, a rapper and physicist in his 20s, and is now in his 30s as an indie hacker. By the way, indie hacker is a trend that exists right now, especially in Twitter. If you want to find out what this is about, of course, tune in because Nicolai is explaining a little bit about this and this influence in the business itself. He developed Neural Frames, which is an AI-based platform where users can easily convert text prompts to awe-inspiring videos and edit their creations on the go. So we're going to dive deep onto generative AI, how to use these tools and what it means for creatives and also for the whole society, as well as what is the behind the scenes that happens and what it takes to create a platform like this, especially as an indie hacker. I can't wait to begin. Let's do it. Let's know and learn what Nicolai has to say about generative AI. Let's do it. Thank you so much for being here, Nicolai. Please let us know how is everything going in Germany?
Pretty good. It's summer here, so good weather. It's nice. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. We're also in summer right now. We're having fun. Winter is coming, so this is a time to enjoy. So thank you so much. Please let us know a little bit about your background. It seems you have a very interesting mix of different passions.
Right. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks for letting me, having me on. I'm a physicist by training. Also did a lot of music, in my, let's say, 20s. I was a rapper kind of with a band and saxophone player. And, after I studied physics, I also did a PhD, studying interactions of strong laser pulses with crystals, whatever, it's deep down fundamental research. After that, I felt I want to do something in the real world, want to build something that people actually, use, worked for a year or so in a company, and then, discovered this new technology called, text to video generation with AI, and, saw that the existing tools there were very complicated to use, even for developers. They were awesome, but complicated to use. And then I thought, cool, I can build my own, solution there that can leverage this technology and enable people to use this technology for all kinds of use cases. And this is where I am now. I launched Neural Frames. The first launch was in January. Then some, let's say, beginning difficulties and relaunched it in April. And then now it's July and, yeah, it's going strong, growing, and yeah.
That's exciting. Thank you so much. I understand you like to sometimes call yourself an indie hacker. I wonder, what does it mean to you?
Well, there's different types of building a startup, and a very common one nowadays is you come up with an idea and then you ask people for a lot of money to build this idea. And this is the venture capital background, right? So you asked investors to give you millions, and then they hope that you have an idea that you build a company that is worth $1 billion. This is a feasible approach, definitely, but my approach at the moment is a different one. I just bootstrap my own company. And that's why it's the indie part. So I'm not dependent on any investors. I can do whatever I want. I'm doing this also alone by myself at the moment, with some help of some freelancers every now and then. And this to me at the moment feels like a very natural progression. Like a very natural way somehow to build something. And Of course, then it's probably not going to end up like $1 billion company, but still, also the expectations are far lower. So even like a very much lower valuation will be a huge success for me, right? Because I don't have the investors in the background that I need to share the revenue with.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
there's this whole, sorry for interrupting, there's this whole movement of indie hacking on Twitter, and there's some people that really inspired me on that, like Peter Levitz, for instance. And I thought it's a cool approach. I would like to try it out. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I think that that's a great example, especially for people who actually don't know that this approach actually exists and make the assumptions that whatever we see the most in social media and everywhere is the only thing that is out there to try things out. But maybe we just don't know and haven't tried other ways to bring our products or our message to the world. So that's a great example. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah, I think, sorry, go ahead. Okay. So I think particularly in software, it's, I mean, you don't need so much money, you know, even if an investor would give me now, I don't know, $5 million, like how would I spend this? You know, I see people raising so much money and I'm wondering, like, is this really required? This amount? I mean, of course I could spend $1 million. That's fine. I could spend a lot of marketing and hire a team and stuff, but maybe it's also worthwhile to first build a product that actually is used, and then I can still decide to scale or not. Seems much more natural to me. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that you mentioned a point that is absolutely super important when growing a business. Even actually, investors would be more interested to know about a platform that already have the tests and already have the users. And it's so much fun and rewarding from the point of view of the founder to be proud of what is built so far by your own only capabilities. So I think that there is a good sense of reward there with that approach. Thank you for sharing that. That's definitely something that more people should know about. Thank you. So going from physics to being interested in the text to video tools, what was your particular inspiration that, of course, later on led you to create Neural Frames? But what was that initial inspiration? Why you were interested particularly in text to video?
So towards the end of my PhD, I started doing simulations. I was an experimental physicist, so I was working in a laser lab. It was dark. There was very expensive equipment. I was doing experiments, stuff like that. And then I was measuring interesting stuff. But towards the end of my PhD, I did simulations to understand my measurements better. And I discovered somehow that I really love doing those simulations and doing writing the code for the simulations. And then one thing led to another. I went into this AI space. This was, I guess, in 2019, 2020. And there was already a lot of movement in AI. And I dove deeper and tried to learn as much as I could about this field. And this culminated somehow in this, the release of Stable Diffusion, which happened, I guess, in September last year or so, which is a text-to-image neural network, which is open source, and I was very fascinated playing with it. And then this text-to-video stuff, I just played around with it because I'm a curious person, and I deeply fell in love with this technology. I mean, it felt very powerful to just write some text and get a cool animation out, and I was anyways in a state where I wanted to build something and I didn't really know what to build. And then I saw, okay, yeah, the existing tools are not really, there is definitely a need or a gap or something in the existing tools. And I thought I could build it myself. Although I mean, I'm not a front end developer or anything like that. And I learned everything while I did it. So, I mean, there were definitely some challenges also there due to my lack of knowledge in computer science somehow.
Yeah, but that's a great example. I mean, you already had a little bit of experience with coding and with a little bit of the tech field or so, research and etc. So those skills, of course, help you. But definitely you don't come necessarily from the specific computer science background maybe, and that is a great example as well of how we can create our own stuff and feeling capable of doing things through research and experimentation. So in layman's terms, how generative AI works, because we know the tools are out there, but we don't know how that even happens. So because you have a little bit of experience building the background of this, I wonder if you can give us some insights on how that actually works, specifically text to video.
Right. Yeah, sure. So, generative AI usually is split in two parts. One is, text generation, which we all know with ChatGPT now. And then there is image generation or video generation also, which is at the moment still very, very much related, image and video creation. And the image creation is happening at the moment with, so-called diffusion neural networks, diffusion models, which create images from noise. So they are trained with huge data sets, basically all the images that exist in the internet out there somehow. I think it's 2.7 billion images, if I don't get the orders of magnitude wrong. The Stable Diffusion one is trained on 2.7 billion, I think. And it's trained in such a way that the image is, in the training process, the image is, transformed to noise. So it learns somehow this pathway from going from noise to that image. And, in the training process, there's also the caption of the image, which is kind of a description of the image usually, right? I don't know, the subtitle or whatever. And if you are now one can be smart and put this caption somehow into the noise with a smart transformation. So somehow the words are encoded in the noise, and then the diffusion model can learn how to create from noise, which is overlaid with the text, to generate the images. This is the basis for text to image models, which, I mean, blew my mind when I first saw them. I think the first one that was really impressive was DALL-E from OpenAI, which I guess was 2 years ago or so. It's crazy how much happened since then somehow. I mean, these were the first attempts really or at least, I mean, there were also already research going on, of course, in text to image, but this was the first time that I got aware of it somehow. And there was this armchair in the shape of an avocado, and I was so excited about it. Somehow I showed it to all my friends. And yeah, but then Stable Diffusion came out, and luckily for us as humans, this was published open source, so everybody could play with it. Everybody could do whatever they want with it. And then there was a cool, open source community that made this Deforum project. It's called Deforum, which is a open source repository or library, or how you ever want to call it, in which they game this text to image model in the sense that first you generate an image from text, but then you generate image to image. Now you use that image that you generate to generate again a new image and a new image and a new image. And this is basically a for loop generating images from image. And then you can get these evolving animations from that. With the same model that produces the first image, you can get the subsequent images also. And also use the prompt there, because you overlay the incoming image then with the prompt also. And then you can modulate somehow what's generated. And then you can also implement, for instance, camera movement. So you could zoom in subsequently in every image slightly, and then you get this infinite zoom in the animations of this image to image to image to image loop. There's really cool ideas in this open source library, Deforum, and I mean, it's really humbling to see what can happen if people just come together for free. It's crazy that we as developers then can use this. I'm not actually using Deforum in neural frames, but I wrote my own Deforum, very much inspired of what Deforum is doing somehow, but a bit simpler, and less features than Deforum, because I try to keep everything as simple as possible for the user in the end.
So what type of coding and specific skills are required to build something like that?
So the pure backend is in Python, which is, I mean, somehow the language of AI, I would say.
Yeah.
Or at least the language of applied AI. Underneath, there's also always some C or C++ library somehow, because Python is slow. And then in the front end, what I'm using, what the user actually sees is, in my case, is React. But you can use whatever you want there. I learned React building this, and it's also kind of nice. But Python I already knew before, and so I chose to build as much as I can in Python, and then just the buttons and stuff are somehow not in Python.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing the specificity of what you're creating. So how, now that neural frames came to life, how has been that journey? What makes actually neural frames so unique right now?
Right. So I said that when I started doing this, there was no other product actually, like there was no other company doing that. Now there are a couple actually. And everybody is kind of like going into their own space. There's really cool competitors doing cool stuff. What's unique about neural frames at this very moment in time, is that you have a full video editor. So, with competitors, often you type in the prompt and then you wait a couple of minutes or even half an hour or so, and then you get your video back, or your animation, however you want to call it. With neural frames, you have kind of a video editor, which looks a bit like After Effects or Adobe Premiere a little bit. And you have a timeline, you have a preview window, you have some effects that you can add. And you can click on generate, and then you will see the frames coming in. They're generated and you will see them live coming in. And the benefit of this is that you can interrupt the process at any time. So you can, because with AI, you type in a prompt and then you get some images back and you're not 100% sure, is this really what I want? And the AI will make something a little bit weird out of it or something. This is just the usual, workflow there. You know it from ChatGPT also. Sometimes the response you get is really not what you want. And then sometimes again, you change something slightly and it's much better. So the neural frames approach is to have this video editor, get live feedback from the images, can interrupt at any time, can change stuff all the time, can also then after a while say, no, now I want to move the camera into another direction, and then do that. And currently neural frames is the only one doing that. This might change or not, I don't know. This also adds a certain complexity to the product. It's a bit more it's a bit more like an instrument than you have to learn. Just like After Effects or Adobe Premiere, you also have to learn somehow. But you can get much more out of it, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. That sounds super exciting. I think that I appreciate a lot because I have tried different tools, to be honest. And I think that is very important that, because when we are paying, we at least can have the opportunity to try first, as you have it available there. But most importantly, to decide the direction of where the creation is taking. And when we have to wait so much for one set to be generated, then it is like we have to accept whatever is generated at the moment instead of in the middle, maybe begin again. So for me, it's very important for efficiency purposes. So yes, incorporating that, I think that was super great. And it's something that other platforms don't have, as you mentioned. The generation is done fully complete, and then we have to either begin again or use that whatever we have there. So, but the time is something that we cannot control in those platforms. Yes, thank you.
Exactly. So, yeah.
How do you think generative AI is reshaping the boundaries of creativity? I mean, of course, it's an incredible tool for artists, I see, for creatives. Do you see the role of human artists evolving, and in what specific way? Because now the machines can do a lot of things that we were doing.
Yeah, great question, and one that is very open at this point, I would say. I mean, I think there are artists that are afraid of this technology. Then there are artists who are very excited about it, that use it a lot already, right? And then there are people who were no artists before who now became artists because they love this technology so much. And all of these people somehow have the justification, I would say. I mean, art in general is not so much, depending on the medium, how you express it, I would say. So you can still do art like they did in the 1500s and be very successful with it. Right. So, art is a very expressive thing. The tool you use somehow, forms how you or what you are creating. And so I think this is just another tool in the toolbox, potentially for artists. Where it becomes interesting is for, let's say, something like, music videos, for instance. This is, a space where I'm very excited about with neural frames. Also because I made a lot of music in the past. Mm-hmm. As a musician, you always need some kind of visual content for your songs, right? Because you want to. So first of all, Spotify has these short animations and they boost songs with these animations. And then you want to post something on social media, you always need some visual content. And visual content is very, very hard and expensive to get, mm-hmm. right? And now with these tools, you can really, even with somebody who has no idea of how to create an animation, you can go ahead and create your own animation for your song, even with audio reactive effects and stuff. And you can it's very easy and relatively fast to create now animations for any type of use case. And this is very powerful. It puts the power to create these, animations into everybody somehow. But I think will still be a place for general motion design people, at least for at least for a decade, I think, with classical tools. Or I don't know, this decade I should probably take back. I don't know. I mean, things are moving very fast at the moment, but, yeah, I think not everything will be, substituted by AI in the near term. There's the other people should probably learn how to use it, but, especially in the video space, it seems like a very hard problem to get really cohesive animations out.
Yeah. That's exciting to hear how we can incorporate these other sensory media, which is visual as well for music. I also love music, of course, and I can see how both of them are always together, the visual, the music, the sound. So I think that people will be very excited to use this for advertisement purposes, for marketing purposes, all of that. What do you think that there is actually a risk of homogenizing creative output, given that it often learns from existing data and trends? Do you foresee that there is a point that we're going to have similar stuff out there? Or what do you think in terms of art? What will be the future of this?
Yeah, I was just discussing this with a friend this weekend who also said that, like, especially for text output, this will be happening. That, like, for marketing copy texts and stuff, the average copywriter might be substituted with AI, and then everything will be very similar. And there will just be the genius copywriters that like stand apart and do great stuff that stands apart. I think this risk is there definitely, with AI in general, to be honest. So now for neural frames, I'm writing blog posts, with GPT-4, to help me in search engine optimization. It's incredible how good the blog posts are in a sense, but also they're kind of average, like if I now took 2 hours and wrote a blog post, it would probably be better, but still I can spit out blog posts like nothing. And like it takes 2 minutes or so and helps me with search engine optimization. But then the content in the internet will be very average also. Yeah. I think that's true. But I think there will be a place always people always will appreciate good content, right? That's what people want. People don't want average content. So.
Yes, for sure. So there is also discussion about the ethics side of this type of tools or outputs or creations. What is your take on that? How we could, from our side, help with all of these worry or concern in terms of the rise of generative AI? What are your thoughts about that?
So do you mean in terms of copyright, for instance?
Yeah, and in terms of, in general, of ethics, because the tool can be in the hands of anybody now. Actually, it is. and people can create virtually anything, right? So that means even false information, even false data that is going to be spread there. Like it has an impact in society of human beings being, fed with content that might not be necessarily authentic. So what are your thoughts in the ethics side of using these platforms?
Yeah, it's also an interesting question and one that will, I guess, grow bigger over time. You see it already now with Midjourney outputs that are indistinguishable from reality somehow. Yeah, it's going to be an issue for sure. But I think we will find ways to deal with it somehow. I mean, there's all kinds of danger scenarios that you can draw, paint, also with deep fakes on the phone, right? Calling relatives or something and then pretending that somebody is me or so. Yeah, there's definitely new problems that emerge, but new problems also always call for new solutions. And then I think we will find those also.
Yeah,
I'm positive somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. And it has also somehow existed because it's embedded in human beings sometimes to have the tendency to look for these resources to obtain things, right? So somehow the media evolve and these methods also evolve.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's always there. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what is because I can see you like a visionary. What is your ideal scenario for neural frames in the future? Where do you see it if there were no restrictions, where do you see it going and successfully growing?
Yeah, I mean, I have a backlog of 1,000 ideas, I guess, to implement. Yeah. It's just a matter of time at the moment and also a bit of focus where to exactly go and stuff. No, I want to nail this music use case more and more and also the digital art use case more and more to be for this platform to become a friend of musicians and a friend of people who want to create visual art. To, on the one hand, be simple enough to use for everybody, but on the other hand, allowing really no limitations on your creativity somehow. Right. I see it a little bit as a digital audio workstation. That's what they call these softwares for producing music, for instance, Ableton or Cubase or these type of softwares. They call it digital audio workstation. So there you can generate sounds and put have signals, interacting with each other and stuff. And I see neural frames a little bit like that, but for the visual space. So I think neural frames is somehow a digital video workstation, if you want to call it like that. And Stable Diffusion is kind of a visual synthesizer. So and this is the vision where I want to go somehow.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting niche. That's super good because right now we have segmented aspects of the creation process. So we have one platform that is specialized in image. For me, I use Midjourney. We have other platforms that are getting a little specialized more in video. But it really, when we are creating stuff, for example, for designers, we really need to put together, for example, bring photos or footage into an editor like Adobe After Effects or something like that, music, sound, to create something that is complete, right? I think that this would be a good niche and a good, very good practical tool for us to be able to leverage at some point, because as the platforms evolve, users are looking for efficiency, for ways where they can do things faster and better, maybe. So I can see also a future where these tools are going to facilitate that process, making it not so segmented as it is right now. I actually had access to this music AI, something like that from Google, a platform that generates text to music.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so great. I like the wellness area. So then I was generating some kind of tunes for meditation or
Yeah.
this type of experiences. And I can't wait for that to actually go from the beta and allow us to create the whole song.
Right.
And because we create the stuff in XR, we need the music to incorporate in the XR experience because that is what is going to make the experience wow, like create more immersion. So I can see that whenever we have a platform like yours where we could create all of this and connect it with maybe even XR media or any other media, that would be super, super useful. So I'm
Cool. Yeah.
excited to see the growth of neural frames in that direction, perhaps. But any updates that you have, please let us know so we can share it in the community. Now that more people is going to know about you, of course, we'd like to continue updating what's going on with Nicolai and neural frames.
Cool. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, is
Looking
there
forward to that.
anything that you wish I had asked you today so far, Nicolai?
No, I think we've covered a broad range of topics from background from physics to ethics. I think it's good. Yeah.
Yes.
No, it was a pleasure. Diana.
Yes, thank you. So, how people can get a hold of you or neural frames?
Yeah, all kinds of platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. Neuroframes.com. You find us, you find me on all these platforms also. My main platform at the moment is Twitter personally. I'm there the most. So follow me on Twitter if you follow me on one.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much. It's been such a great and engaging conversation. I think that we learned even a little bit more about generative AI and how artists are using it and even some implications of that. Thank you so much. And please consider to share this episode if you are listening or watching it to any of your friends or family who might be interested in this topic. Thanks so much and see you in the next episode. Bye for now.